and open a public hearing for Senate Bill 1501. Leslie, can you summarize the measure for us?
Mr. Chair, Senate Bill 1501 authorizes the Oregon Department of Administrative Services to enter into agreements to own and operate the Moda Center in the city of Portland. It establishes that the agreements may not obligate state monies beyond those in the Oregon Arena Fund, and establishes that the agreements may not pledge the taxing power or the full faith and credit of the state. It creates the fund in the state treasury, and it establishes that the Legislative Assembly is not obligated to appropriate monies to the fund. It dedicates certain tax revenue to the fund related to work in and around the Moda Center only if a men's professional basketball team has signed a lease for the Moda Center. It declares an emergency effective on passage. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. We're waiting, Madam Governor. Why don't I do this? If Senator President Wagner comes forward and go ahead testify, hopefully she will arrive while you testify.
Come join us. Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, members of the committee. For your record, my name is Rob Wagner. I'm the state senator for Senate District 19, which includes the communities of Lake Oswego, Tualatin, West Linn, Southwest Portland, along the waterfront. I also have the honor of serving as the Oregon State Senate President. I'm extremely pleased to be here today to testify as a chief sponsor on Senate Bill 1501, which creates a framework for the state to support the revitalization, the civic pride, the economic strength of Portland and all of Oregon through a partnership to secure the future of Oregon's arena, the Moda Center. I'll be brief in order to hear from several advocates today, but let me state this on the outset. The Moda Center is Oregon's arena. The arena is the only large-scale civic arena in the entire state which drives regional impact to the tune of $670 million annually. People from across the state, from across the region, and often from across the United States travel to Oregon to attend sporting events and concerts and rodeos and monster truck rallies and summits. Supporting the Moda Center with the Trailblazers as its anchor tenant is a step this legislature needs to take in order to keep millions of dollars in economic activity in Oregon, continue to draw major events and tourists to our state, and preserve the growth and investment we are seeing in the neighborhood surrounding the arena. We also know what happens when arenas go under. Empty storefronts, decreased foot traffic, and millions of dollars in revenue lost for critical programs that are already strained. In 1999 through 2001, I was in grad school in Washington, D.C. I lived at 12th between C and D, about 20 blocks from Anacostia. And there was an arena there called Robert F. Kennedy Stadium. It was the home of the team that is now called the Washington Commanders. When the team moved in the early, mid-1990s, a major publication talked about the stadium that entered the, quote, ghost town phase. Let me quote from this publication. Once the lights went out, the 190-acre site became a massive asphalt desert. The stadium became a literal shell, plagued by, quote, rodent infestation, structural decay, and rusting seats. For decades, the stadium was an economic engine for the surrounding Hill East and Kingman Park neighborhoods, communities that obviously had an interesting history around racial segregation and a difficulty in terms of economic development. When it closed, local businesses, and again, this is a quote from the publication, bars suffered massively, impacting the vitality of the entire city. Senate Bill 1501 has three parts that will support the renovation and management of Oregon's arena for 20 years. First, it provides a pathway to shared ownership with the Moda Center between the state and its current owner, the city of Portland. Once this shared ownership is established, we would be able to use 20-year general obligation bonds as an available mechanism and financing tool to support renovations. Next, it establishes the Oregon Arena Fund to receive existing redirected revenues from a number of sources to renovate, maintain, and operate the Moda Center, including the payment of debt service. Senate Bill 1501 does not appropriate any money to the fund, nor does it obligate the legislature to appropriate the resources. And third, it directs certain state agencies to work with the arena operator to quantify taxes derived from the economic activity of the Moda Center and reinvest those dollars back into the Oregon Arena Fund for payment of debt service and operations. And I understand the governor is probably on her way. Right now, there are several panels that are going to come after me, so I would be happy to entertain questions or in private conversation. But let me close with this. Senate Bill 1501 is the framework that provides a responsible, strategic path forward together. I thank you so much for your opportunity and your consideration of this legislation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. I'm gonna go ahead and. Okay, I think the governor is maybe arriving. She's coming, so we'll just take a second to wait for her. Come on in, Madam Governor. Good morning.
Well, good morning. How are you?
Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Well,
Very
thank you for
well.
having me. Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, members of the Senate Rules Committee. Good to see you this morning. For the record, I'm Tina Kotek, Governor of the great state of Oregon. It's a pleasure to be with you here today to talk about Senate Bill 1501. So, Oregon is really at its best when our elected leaders come together to do big things. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Something big that will benefit Oregonians for decades to come. Moda Center, as you know, is more than an arena. It's where Oregon families come to create memories, where artists and athletes perform at the highest level, and where Oregon and Oregonians just come together. Moda Center is publicly owned. It's an economic anchor for Portland and for the entire state. Moda Center is Oregon's arena. It hosts events more than 240 days a year, from Blazers games to concerts to festivals, comedy shows, college basketball, and other amazing entertainment. It draws 1.6 million visitors annually and generates an estimated $670 million annually in regional economic impact, including $113 million annually in direct visitor spending. Nearly 4,500 jobs are supported through arena operations and tourism. Oregon needs and deserves a Moda Center that can meet the demands of current and future economic activity. Every generation of Oregonians has invested in building community spaces that bring people together. This is our opportunity to secure Portland's future, revitalize historic neighborhoods, and strengthen Oregon's economic competitiveness. Upgrading Moda Center is a smart investment in Oregon's economic future. And it's our moment to step up, and Senate Bill 1501 is the tool to do that. This moment is especially critical because of the transformation happening around the Moda Center in Portland. Major redevelopment is underway in the Rose Quarter and Lower Albina, including the Albina Vision Trust work to reconnect and reinvest in a historically displaced community. The 1803 Fund is developing 10 acres along the Willamette River. Portland has welcomed back the Fire and WNBA games start this year. All of this represents billions of dollars in investment and a once-in-a-generation opportunity to rebuild community wealth. But this investment depends on Moda Center getting an upgrade. The Portland Trail Blazers, as you know, are the anchor tenant. They bring in at least 41 home games a year. We're hoping for more. They have national visibility, and they bring year-round economic activity. Cities across the country are competing aggressively for professional sports teams. And I think we can all agree the Blazers belong in Portland. Senate Bill 1501 provides what I think and what our elected leaders have come together to believe is a responsible, strategic path forward, a framework that we can build upon without raising taxes. The future of Moda Center is the future of Portland's revitalization and Oregon's growth. So let's invest in it. Let's protect, celebrate, and build on what we have. And let's build a world-class center for sports, entertainment, and community that will benefit generations to come. I urge your full support of Senate Bill 1501. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Madam Governor. Really appreciate you.
Thanks for the time.
We have Multnomah County Chair Jessica Figa-Peterson, Mayor Keith Wilson, and Commissioner Loretta Smith. Please come forward, all three of you. Good morning.
Chair Jama, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity. Vice Chair Starr, members of the committee, appreciate your time. My name is Keith Wilson, and I am the mayor of the great city of Portland. Portland is on the rebound. In the last year, conditions have improved greatly. We are now able to provide life-saving shelter and care to people living on the street, which has allowed us to restore basic livability standards in our community. I watch closely. Crimes are trending down, and business openings are trending up. Portland is on the rise, but our renaissance is fragile. Losing the Trailblazers would be a calamitous blow to our economy, community, and for the state. But this is about more than just a single building and more than just a single team. This is about Oregon's future. The Moda Center is Oregon's largest gathering place and busiest entertainment center in our state. It draws visitors from every corner of the state, including many of your constituents, providing a venue for major concerts and rodeos, community events. We serve rural, suburban, and urban Oregonians alike. I'm here bright and early today to ensure that you know the city of Portland is all in on Moda. We have a local investment plan in the works that will go through our council that will include $120 million of upfront capital investment with an average of $14 million per year for capital improvements and ongoing operations for a total of over $400 million over the life of this investment. Partial state ownership of the arena and a meaningful state investment will allow the critical project to move forward, unlocking major economic development activity and strengthening Oregon's position as a destination for large-scale events across this nation. It will allow us to compete for major performers that the venue cannot currently serve, increasing economic value to the state and ensuring we are no longer a flyover from San Francisco to Seattle. It will give our new WNBA team the home and court it deserves while meeting an immediate need for our construction industry, supporting thousands of good-paying construction jobs and workforce development opportunity over the next many years. With state partnership, this is an opportunity to inject new energy into our economy at this particular critical point. It's a generational opportunity to invest in jobs and culture and Oregon's long-term economic vitality. Renovating the Moda Center isn't about just a building. It's about the future we want for our economy and the community across the entire state. Thank you for this opportunity.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, and members of the Senate Rules Committee. My name is Jessica Vega-Peterson, and I proudly serve as the chair of Multnomah County. I'm here today to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1501, which sets the framework to move forward a multi-jurisdictional agreement to renovate the publicly owned Moda Center in Portland. We all understand the importance of having a world-class facility for our beloved Blazers, for our soon-to-debut Portland Fire for the WNBA, for entertainment, live music, and so much more. The investments that Senate Bill 1501 make possible will allow for a transformation of the Moda Center into a world-class facility. A transformation that means the next time around, Bad Bunny or Taylor Swift will not skip over Oregon, and I would say that Oregon deserves that. Jokes aside, this is a place that brings people together. We can continue and enhance that tradition if we meet this moment together. President Wagner painted a very stark picture of what would happen if the Moda Center were to lose the Blazers. I want to paint a different picture, a picture of what is actually happening to bring community together because of the Moda Center. Beyond basketball and concerts, I want to emphasize the importance of the Moda Center as a gathering space for our community. For many years now, the Moda not skip over Oregon, and I would say that Oregon deserves that. Jokes aside, this is a place that brings people together. We can continue and enhance that tradition if we meet this moment together. President Wagner painted a very stark picture of what would happen if the Moda Center were to lose the Blazers. I want to paint a different picture, a picture of what is actually happening to bring community together because of the Moda Center. Beyond basketball and concerts, I want to emphasize the importance of the Moda Center as a gathering space for our community. For many years now, the Moda Center has hosted the annual El Grito event, a kickoff to Hispanic Heritage Month and the largest celebration of Mexico and other Latin American countries' independence in the Pacific Northwest. Thousands of people come from across the state to the Moda Center to celebrate the variety of cultures, music, food, and history of the Latina community. It is an event that fosters connection and belonging for so many Oregonians. It provides an opportunity for dozens of small businesses and entrepreneurs to sell authentic goods. And Multnomah County is just one of the many organizations that attends the event. For us, it serves as an important public health function. We are able to provide on-site vaccines and health checkups for children and families. I share this to underscore that we are not just investing in a facility, but investing in our community. For Multnomah County, ensuring this renovation goes forward in a way that supports good-paying jobs for both the construction and operation is critical to the economic and overall health of our county. That's why we're committed to providing an $88 million investment as part of this joint package. And that is also pending the approval of our board. Multnomah County is here to do our part. We are proud to be a part of this partnership with the state and the city of Portland. We are all here today to show the kind of teamwork that Rip City expects. This is a generational investment opportunity. The Moda Center, Oregon's arena, is a crucial economic engine for our state, and engines need maintenance over time. Our city, county, and state can't afford to let this opportunity pass. I encourage you all to support this bill, and in doing so, deliver a win for the entire state of Oregon. Thank you.
Good morning. It feels like old home week. The last time I was here in my other capacity as the CEO of Dream Big Communications, I used to come and advocate for things to all of you. My name is Loretta Smith. I am a Portland City Councilor in District 1, and it is an honor to be able to see you, Senator Jama, Senator Golden, Senator Thatcher, Senator Starr, and Senator Manning. Many of you know that I am a single parent, raised a son in this community. But before I get into that, I wanted to say that it is imperative that we support the efforts to keep the Blazers and the Moda Center in Portland and in Oregon. There's a lot of nuance about why we should do it. First, we need to talk about those supply side businesses that feed into the Blazers and the Moda Center, from vendors, restaurants, bars, marketing, folks who do the linens. All these kinds of entrepreneurial things make up who the Moda Center is. It is not only an economic driver for the city of Portland, it is an economic driver for the state of Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. It is something that inspires young people and old. When I came out to Oregon, the biggest fan of the Trailblazers was my grandmother. She dropped down to her knees and she thanked God when they won the championship when she was here. And that is the reason why I became a fan. But more importantly, as I said earlier, my son had hoop dreams. He did all the things. AAU basketball, high school basketball, got a 4-year scholarship to go to the University of Washington. Those hoop dreams never materialized, but what he did learn as a student and spending 4 years in Seattle was he met friends. And through those friends, he started 2 startup tech companies and also a CEO of a nonprofit organization that teaches young people how to become student athletes. And he has created several All-American athletes. And because of his hoop dreams and because of the Blazers, he always wanted to be one of those Blazers. It led him to other things, to become a business person and a community advocate to make sure that our young people can be the best that they can be. And that, to me, is something that you can't quantify, and how important it is for a young black kid to grow up in a city that has a professional basketball team and to want to aspire to be the people that he sees on TV. But fortunately, it broadened a bigger base of opportunity for him. And being a business person, it gave him the skills that he needed for this community to make sure not only that minority businesses and businesses are surviving, that they are thriving. So I thank the Blazers, and I thank the previous administrations who made sure that we had the Blazers here, but we need to keep them. We're going to lose all those businesses if we don't. And we're going to lose those dreams of those young people like my son who had dreams, but they didn't know that they had bigger dreams ahead of them. Thank you for listening to me this morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And ditto, ditto to all of my colleagues who are sitting here with me today.
Thank you. Questions? Vice Chair Bruce.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. Rip City forever, right?
Yes.
Like many of you, I grew up listening to Bill Schonley by the radio. So I grew up a Blazer fan for sure. Sitting in a different role this morning. So I'm interested in more specifics related to the local contribution to this effort. I'm speaking directly to the mayor and to our commission chair. Can you just really briefly outline exactly where those dollars are coming from? And the second question I would have, if I'm looking at the bill, it's not clear, at least in my reading of it, I could have missed it, that we do require local match or local participation. So would you, as important partners in this, object to including language that would require in the statute that there would be local match?
So sorry. I'll let the negotiators for this have the specific discussions for you, but, and I'm not sure what the requirement of a local match would be, but I'm happy to consider it if that's your question, but a commitment at this point, as this is just the beginning point, the first inning, if you will, as the negotiation begins. Happy to entertain any desire that you may need from your rules group.
Yeah, and thank you, Chair Jama and Vice Chair Starr. I would say that we are here because we are committed to being a partnership for having local dollars go into this, because we know that the only way that we're going to do this is to have that partnership. I think what the specifics need to be in the bill, we can have that conversation if that's something that's appropriate to put in there. That's great. I would look to President Wagner as the sponsor of this bill to help. But we are all in conversation about this. And like I said, are committed to the tune of multi-millions dollars over the length of the bonds to be full partners in this work.
Follow up. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So specifically in your testimony, Mayor, you mentioned 120 million up front and then an additional 14 million annually. Can you just give us an idea of where those dollars are coming from? I'm reading in the news, quite honestly, that City of Portland is budget's in the red. Your budget stretch, and yet we're coming up with $120 million for basketball.
Right. We've been looking at pro formas on where that capital would come from. In the end, though, it would be my colleague and my partner, the council, to determine where those funds actually come from. We do have placeholder items that we're looking at to propose to council, but at the end, that would be their commitment on what funds would be used to fill the 120. As far as the ongoing capital expense for the operating, we have that as a host of different flows. It could include user fees on the tickets, parking and parking fees, and a host of other mechanisms that we're looking at in the pro forma that we are in our negotiations right now.
Follow-up. So would you object if we included language in this legislation, in the statute, that required local participation so that the state isn't the only sole statutorily required participant in the Oregon Arena Fund?
Absolutely. In fact, we look to include the state as a partner in a operating agreement on this as well.
If you could answer the same question.
Yes, of course. So Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr. So for Multnomah County's portion, and just to talk a little bit about how the mechanics are looking at this point, Multnomah County would most likely have an agreement with the City of Portland, and those dollars would flow through the City of Portland, and then go to the fund that is being set up as a result of this bill. But we are looking at two different revenue sources for Multnomah County. One is an existing motor vehicle rental tax, a surcharge on that motor vehicle rental tax. It's currently dedicated to paying off bonds for the Oregon Convention Center, but those bonds are going to mature in 2030, and so in 2031 there would be capacity there to provide revenue towards the Moda Center renovations. In addition, we are looking at our business income tax, which is a revenue mechanism that we have for businesses in Multnomah County as a source for the rest of the dollars that we would be putting into this.
Thank you.
Thank you. An additional question is, thank you so much for your testimony. I think we next panel probably will include Kate Lieber, who's going to probably able to help us some of the financial obligations of this measure. Kate Lieber, Senator Kate Lieber, and then Representative Bowman.
Hi.
Senator, if you can willing to entertain those some of the financial questions,
Sure.
would be really great.
Well, good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, and Rules Committee. I'm happy to be back here on this side of the dais. My name is Senator Kate Lieber. I am the state senator for Senate District 14, which is Southwest Portland and parts of Beaverton. So the state is facing some economic headwinds. As the co-chair of Ways and Means, I know that intimately. And we know that we need to focus on economic development. I always say that sort of economic development has three parts, right? The easiest way to economic development is to keep what you have. The second easiest way for economic development is to grow what you have. And the third way is to figure out what you want to be. The Blazers, you're going to hear it, they are a source of pride for the community. The Moda brings in concert shows, events, attracts people from all over the state. But this bill that we're talking about right now is just the first step. The second step for this body is going to be a bonding bill where we're going to need to calculate how much we can put towards renovations of the Moda Center. So ultimately, a long-term lease will have to be negotiated with the joint authority, of which the state is a part. And that joint authority will have to come to mutually acceptable terms with the Blazers organization that will sign a long-term lease for what we're hoping to be the long-term lease of the length of the bonds. And right now, we're looking at a 20-year length of bonding. If we do not have a mutually acceptable terms in the lease, we won't sell the bonds. So the triggers are going to be included in the bonding bill. We're using sort of withholdings from the Blazer organization and other construction costs in order to calculate the amount of money that we believe that we can have with in the bonding bill. So that is how we're going to calculate it. It's going to be from the withholdings from the Blazers. If the Blazers leave, we know we will be losing revenue because of the Blazers organization. And so we have to put triggers in our bonding bill in order to make sure that we have a mutually acceptable long-term lease. I want to make one other point before I turn it over, which is the Moda Center is aging. It just is. And we are going to have to make investments in the Moda Center regardless if we want to keep the Moda Center. So we're either going to make a run at keeping the Moda Center with our long-term tenant, the Blazers organization, or we're going to invest anyway in the Moda Center because it's going to need investment. I strongly encourage you to take this very first step in this process, and I strongly support this bill, and I'm asking you all to please support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, members of the committee. For the record, Ben Bowman, State Representative from House District 25 and the House Majority Leader. I'm going to zoom out a little bit in my remarks. For more than 50 years, the Blazers have been part of the fabric of this state. I heard that from Vice Chair Starr. For many of us, that connection started young. I grew up with the Blazers, watching with my dad, getting my heart broken in the playoffs every year, falling in love with basketball. I used to spend time at Lafke Park pretending I was Arvydas Sabonis. Generations of Oregonians have their own experience with this team. They've been a rallying point for our state. Parents pass that fandom down to their kids. Strangers high five on the max after a big win. For decades, this team has helped define what it means to live in Oregon. But here's what really matters for the legislature. The Blazers are not just a professional basketball team, and they provide more than just cultural value. The Blazers are a major economic engine for Portland and for the state. They support directly and indirectly thousands of jobs. They drive tourism. They anchor activity in downtown. On game nights, restaurants fill up, hotels book up, local workers across industry benefit. And as you heard from Senator Lieber, anchor institutions matter now more than ever for our state. The Blazers are one of those anchors. They bring predictable, recurring activity that helps stabilize surrounding businesses and property values. They produce civic pride, national visibility, cultural identity, and real economic value. They put Oregon on the global stage every season, and they bolster Portland's reputation. Oregon has always believed in stewardship and shared benefit. We protect what matters. We invest with the long view and with future generations in mind. And that's the opportunity we have today, because the Portland Trail Blazers do not exist without the Moda Center. This is a market rate deal. This is what it costs. If we let the Blazers slip away, just like Seattle did with the Supersonics, there will be a line of cities across the country lining up to have them come to their city. Investing in an institution like this is not about nostalgia, it's about foresight. And for those of us who grew up watching this team, who suffered through the 2000 Western Conference Finals, who leapt to their feet watching Brandon Roy hit buzzer beaters, and who cheered when Damian Lillard returned to Portland, this isn't abstract. It's personal and it's practical. If Oregon wants a future that's prosperous, grounded, and shared, it should recognize that the Blazers, for what they truly are, not just a team, but a lasting asset to the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Starr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your testimony. I find little to disagree with what you shared. This isn't the first state or city that has negotiated a deal with a professional sports team. There are lots of statutes in various states across the country where legislators in those states have protected the taxpayer, recognizing that this is big money, big investments, lots at stake, including protecting the taxpayers themselves. As I look at this bill, there's very little detail here. There's very little guarantee that we make significant investment, either this biennium or the next. Again, in the black and white words on the paper that is in front of us, as chief cheerleaders for this effort, can we work together to potentially include some sideboards, strengthen the language to make some guarantees? Let's protect the Oregon taxpayer. I recognize the triggers that you mentioned in the bond bill, but that's not in this particular statute that's authorizing this effort going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Jama. Senator Starr. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're in, like I said, this is sort of the first step. We have to create a vehicle by which we are able to negotiate a lease, and we have to create a vehicle by which we're going to have monies flow into it. And so this is, when I say this is the first step, I really mean it. I certainly think that sideboards can be put into here, and I think sideboards are going to be also put into the bonding bill. Because again, if we don't have a mutually agreeable lease, of which the state is going to be a party to that lease, then we're not going to sell the bonds and the thing doesn't work. So what we're trying to do with this language in the bill is to really create a situation where we're able to figure out how to use GO bonds, just like Senator Wagner said, and that will enable us to then open up sort of more conversations around sort of which GO bonds that we use. And it allows the state and the city to start negotiating that long-term lease. We know that these are complicated. It's not going to be contained with, we cannot contain everything in the law that is going to be in that lease. But we certainly can put some work together to put some sideboards in. And I just want to say one other thing. The city and the county have been really great partners throughout this. This is complicated. This is not just as simple as, oh, we're just going to do this. We have to take our vision and come to the legislature and get the votes, just like the mayor has to with city council, just like Chair Vega Peterson has to with her. There is multiple sort of stages. So we unless we take the first step, we're never going to get to the next 20. This is the first step.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Golden. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to stay with this a little bit because I think it's really at the crux of what's on legislators' minds. I'm not hearing anyone dispute the importance of the Moda Center and the Blazers to the metro and the state economy. I think almost we can just stipulate that and move on. I think it's really important, the clarity you had, Senator Lieber. This is step number one, which would lead to a negotiation. And the linchpin of this whole thing is a mutually acceptable agreement with the anchor tenant, the Blazers, for a period of 20 years. And our movement forward as the state will depend on that agreement. And that's where we really have to get in the nitty-gritty of how the money flows and how it works for all of us who are, number one, not wanting to expose Oregon taxpayers to possible loss here. So my question would be, if this bill essentially enables that serious conversation to go forward, let me for just a moment be not optimistic and say in a country where we do have already, I think, a line of cities looking for a Major League Basketball franchise, one rather large city to the north certainly is, let us say that we are not successful in achieving an mutually acceptable agreement for that lease. What have we lost? What are we putting at risk for passing this bill if we don't have the outcome we want?
Thank you, Senator Jama. Senator Golden, nothing. I mean, that's I think what we have to understand is that this is the first step, and we won't sell the bonds. So what's at risk is, if we don't take this first step, what's at risk is we don't ever start those negotiations, and we never get to step 20, which is signing the long-term lease.
Basically, some of our time and discussions.
It's loss of, it's our time. But so that's why I just impart upon you all that there are things that have to be worked out. We get that. There are things that are that we will need as assurances and not. What I pledge is that to you all is that the calculations that we're doing with regard to the withholdings of the Blazer organization and some of the construction costs and things, is that that we won't pledge more than the withholding will support. And so those are the calculations that are being happening now. That is the amount that's going to go into the bond bill with triggers that will enable us to understand the details before we sell the bonds. And that's like, let me tell you a little bit about bonding too, is DAS will have to do their due diligence. The Treasury has to do their due diligence. We don't just sell bonds because we say we're going to sell bonds. We sell bonds once we know from the state that everything is in the right, it's in the right order, and that we're protecting the citizens. But a lot of the things that we've talked about and that I've talked about with other of my colleagues, a lot of that is going to be taken care of in the next steps along the way.
So one more clarification question. So, as I said, the linchpin is coming to an agreement with our anchor tenant.
Yep.
But will the next step, should this bill pass, also include getting really precise and exact with regard to our mutual obligations with our partners, the city of Portland and the Multnomah County, that those questions that Senator Starr was getting at, those will be pretty clearly answered in the next step after this as well?
Yes. So the Blazers, in order for us to keep our anchor tenant, the Blazers, the city, the county, and the state have to put money in. We got to put skin in the game, or we won't be able to put together a market rate package, because this is what happens across the country, city, state, counties. We won't be able to put a market rate package together that will be mutually acceptable to the Blazers. So we all have to be rowing in the same direction, and we are. And so the answer is they won't sign it. It won't be mutually agreeable to them if we're not all in it together. And you saw, I think, from the mayor and from Chair Vega-Peterson, that we are in this together, that we understand the importance, and that we're going to have to stretch to do this, but we can do this, we should do this, and you're going to hear about why we shouldn't lose the Blazers. We have to make this run at it. This is the first step.
Thank you, Mr.
We need to move on. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
your testimony. Really appreciate you. We have quite a few people who are online to testify. So what I will do is that I'm going to put timer for 2 minutes from now on, because we only have limited time. So if you can be precise to your comments, the area of the bill that you want to highlight, that'll be great. Let me call Dwayne Hankins, Dan Barrett, Winter Johannes. Thank you and welcome, and you may start.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, and members of the committee for the opportunity to be here today. For the record, my name is Dwayne Hankins, President of Business Operations for the Portland Trailblazers and RIP City Management. I'm also the father of 2 boys who have grown up avid fans of the Trailblazers, who have seen family shows and concerts, who have grown up believing in this team and feeling like Moda Center belongs to them, much like it has belonged to generations before them. We have an opportunity this year to shape the future we want for Oregon. A future where the Trailblazers remain competitive and rooted here. A future where the Rose Quarter in Lower Albina continues to be a place where Oregonians come together for hundreds of events each year. And a future where the next generation understands what we mean when we say that RIP City runs deep. Now, you've heard all the stats from everybody else that came up here today, so I'll skip to the fun parts. Perhaps the deepest impact, though, is the civic pride and vitality that the busiest entertainment venue in Oregon provides to our community. It is the feeling of standing in a packed arena in the fourth quarter yelling defense with 19,000 strangers who suddenly become neighbors. It's hugging someone you've never met when Damian Lillard hits a playoff series winning shot, and it's singing from the top of your lungs with your arms around friends at a Blink-182 concert, which are things that I may or may not have done myself in my time at the team. But this is not just about the Blazers, it's about community. The Moda Center is much bigger than basketball. So this is a pivotal moment for the state. At 30 years old, Moda Center now requires a major renovation to extend its useful life. Today, it's the oldest NBA arena that has never undergone a major renovation. A $600 million investment secures the long-term future of Major League sports and world-class entertainment in Oregon. It creates thousands of great-paying jobs, it protects existing jobs and future workforce opportunities. And it also supports something uniquely Oregon. In partnership with AVT, this project helps anchor restorative development in Lower Albina, setting a national example for how business and community work together to solve tough challenges. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, and members of the committee. My name is Winte Johannes. I'm the Executive Director of the Albina Vision Trust. We are a community-driven development organization working to rebuild historic Lower Albina, a neighborhood that was systematically displaced by past urban development, yet remains the cultural heart of Portland. We are ultimately guided by the belief that our future can be brighter than our past if we dare to be committed to being intentionally remarkable in how we care for Albina, a hub of statewide economic infrastructure for the entire state of Oregon. I'm here today in strong support of the state's proposed package to fund a thoughtful strategic renovation of Moda Center and to ensure the Trailblazers remain in Portland for decades to come. Moreover, we recognize that Moda Center is by far the most diverse gathering place in all of Oregon. In 2024, as you heard from Dwayne, the Albina Vision Trust and Portland Trailblazers came together to form a deep-rooted partnership called the Albina Rose Alliance. We are united by the fundamental belief that standing shoulder to shoulder, business and community can solve our biggest problems. As the two largest cultural anchors in Lower Albina, we are collectively building a brand new blueprint for civic participation and restorative redevelopment, one centered around the lives of children, play, and the economic and generational well-being of our community. Our efforts accelerate the work of the largest restorative redevelopment effort in the nation while deepening the Blazers' roots in Portland, expanding their impact and transforming the Moda Center into a state-of-the-art, community-integrated, and world-class event venue is a critical part of this partnership. As we continue to work to bring thousands of people to the district and generate more activity around the Moda Center, losing the Blazers would be a devastating blow. This disinvestment and inactivity would echo past harms, leaving a prominent piece of land disconnected from community life. Further, Oregon would send a message to investors and partners that this is not a state with the capacity to make big projects happen. So I'll just close by saying that the Albina Rose Alliance exists because both parties recognize that all of this is about more than basketball. It's how we use the best of what we have, culture, community, and economic impact to build something better than we've collectively inherited. Thank you for your support.
Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, Chair, thank you. Vice Chair, members. My name is Dan Barrett with CA Icon. I am an advisor to the Trailblazers and available for questions to support the team.
Vice Chair Starr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here to testify this morning. So I believe it was in early 1990s when Paul Allen negotiated an agreement with the City of Portland with far less public skin in the game, public investment, a commitment to stay in the City of Portland for 30 years. Pretty ironclad agreement between the owner and the city. We're talking about a lot more investment here with an owner I recognize that's buying a team, but as it relates to this investment, I'm not seeing an investment from the new owner in this. Would you be comfortable in statute, black and white, in the ORS, a commitment that in exchange for several $100 million of public Oregon taxpayer dollars, that this new owner would have to stay in the City of Portland for 30 years?
I mean, as you said, Vice Chair, the building is already at 30 years old. So our plan and implementation and all the data that we have says that a building really is a 50-year lifespan. And so the work that needs to happen to the building, we believe can sustain the team for the next 20 years.
So the answer is no?
Yes, the answer is no.
So follow-up.
Follow-up.
So the in the exploration of all of this, was there thought about instead of a remodel of an existing building, a construction of a new facility?
Yeah, the question came up when Commissioner Silver had initially made a comment about the arena, and he said that a new building had to be built. We were able to work with the NBA office to to realize and understand that a renovation was all that's needed. In reality, a new building would be twice as much to do. And with our public partners who you spoke with earlier today, we thought the responsible thing was to do a renovation.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. So you said that the Moda Center, it's got a 50-year life, so in 20 years, you have to tear it down and rebuild something new?
I think we'll look at where we are at that time point and see what needs to happen at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate you. We're going to go ahead and call next panel, Terry Johnson, Duke Shepard, and Chim Itzel. Please come forward.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Chair Starr, members of the committee. My name is Terry Johnson, and I'm the CEO for Boys and Girls Clubs of Portland Metro. I'm here today in support of Senate Bill 1501 and the creation of the Oregon Arena Fund to renovate the Moda Center and ensure the Trailblazers remain in Portland for years to come. I want to speak to you today not just about sports or buildings, but about kids, families, and community partnership. Boys and Girls Clubs of Portland Metro have served the community since 1946. And today, we operate 5 club locations from Hillsborough to Rockwood in East Multnomah County. And we impact more than 8,000 youth and families each year, providing free after-school care for elementary youth and engaging teens in life and career readiness programs. Every day after school, working families depend on us to keep their children safe, supported, and inspired. But we don't do that work alone. We rely on stakeholders who truly believe in investing in young people with intentionality and care. One of our most important partners is the Portland Trailblazers. The Blazers Boys and Girls Club, located on MLK Boulevard in the heart of the city center, is our flagship club within a 5-club footprint. This club was built in 1996 through the leadership efforts of legendary Trailblazers, Terry Porter and Jerome Kersey. 30 years later, it remains a long-standing resource for youth development programs in Northeast Portland, a community hub and safe haven for families in the community, and the only Boys and Girls Club location in the country amongst 1,000 clubs in the BGCA national network that has a naming partnership with an NBA franchise. For 80 years, Boys and Girls Clubs of Portland Metro has empowered young people to discover their full potential. We can only do that work through strong partnerships. The Trailblazers are one of those rare community partners who show up and invest and demonstrate a loyal commitment to our youth that translates to real impact. I respectfully urge you to support Senate Bill 1501.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Jim Etzel. I'm the CEO of Sport Oregon, the state's nonprofit sports commission. We're supported by over 150 corporate annual investors that drive our mission, which is to drive economic, quality of life, and positive social impacts in Oregon communities through sport. Sports is economic, we like to say. It's social and it's emotional. And the Blazers and the Moda Center are the absolute anchor of our sports ecosystem at every level. Let me talk to you about why. From a professional franchise level, they were the first, all right? They are still in the top, what's regarded as the top 4 major professional sports leagues in North America. I like to give credit to our soccer franchises and everything, but the Blazers lead the way. They also play in a facility that we can activate with over 230 other evening or event nights a year. No other facility offers that opportunity for our state's community. As the Blazers go, so does our franchise community. They are the bellwether. All the franchise leaders who are all stakeholders in our organization will tell you that. Facilities drive opportunity. The best, most recent example that I can give is the construction of the new Hillsborough Hop Stadium in Hillsborough. That freed up space in the old stadium, which we successfully landed a brand new professional softball franchise, the Portland Cascade. That would not have happened if we didn't have the new ballpark. They could not have overlapped in that facility. When we talk about this facility, it's not just the Blazers. You've heard it mentioned about the Portland Fire. If we don't have the Blazers, our ability to keep the fire is in jeopardy. It's just a reality because the building will not, if it's not relevant for the Blazers, it's not going to be relevant long-term for the fire in the WNBA as well. Also, our ability, you've heard about the women's Final Four that we were fortunate to win almost 5 years ago for 2030. It'll be the largest sporting event that the city of Portland has ever hosted. It'll have over $30 million of economic impact. It drives a 3,000-person convention in addition to the Final Four itself. It's the National Coaches Convention. It'll take up every square inch of the Oregon Convention Center and occupy over 12,000 room nights over a 4-day period, effectively taking the entire inventory of the city of Portland from a hotel standpoint. If we were to...
You wrap it up, sir.
Yes?
Can you finish it?
Yes, I'll be quick. So also the last thing I'll point out is the building's operational and economic relevance. It needs to be modernized. When I say that is, would not be in a position today, with the state of the arena today, that we were 5 years ago to bid for the future events, whether it's future Final Fours, regional championships, U.S. figure skating championships, et cetera. It's extremely important to the overall ecosystem of the state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, members of the committee. My name is Duke Shepard. I am here on behalf of Angela Wilhelms, our president and CEO at Oregon Business and Industry. We are a statewide business association with members in every county, employing over 250,000 people. 75% of our members are small business. Our mission is to create a healthy, prosperous, and competitive Oregon today and for future generations, and this bill is certainly a part of that mission. Now more than ever, we need to focus on initiatives that can help restore Oregon's economic competitiveness and generate economic activity. Now more than ever, we need to protect and grow what is already here. And now more than ever, we need to make smart choices that protect and leverage existing assets and result in real return on investment. You've seen the data, you've heard the data, and I'll reiterate just a bit of it. 2/3 of the annual economic and fiscal impacts of the Rose Quarter, about $370 million, is net new to the economy, even before adding visitor spending, and is responsible for nearly 4,000 jobs through operations and visitor spending, and that is on top of the millions the Trailblazers have invested in Oregon nonprofits and schools. You've heard about all of the other types of events well beyond professional basketball that make use of this facility, I should say this publicly owned facility, and benefits people from around the state and from outside Oregon who visit the venue. In fact, outside visitors coming to the center generate $113 million in estimated activity. Having an updated, active venue like the Moda Center matters to the people not just already here, but to companies that come here and want to be a part of that ecosystem. A modernized venue will allow that to continue. Not getting this done means we would forego obvious economic and long-term financial benefits, and it would be a huge economic and reputational setback and generational community loss. You hear us often talk about putting down the metaphorical shovel, not digging our hole even deeper as it relates to economic policy, the business climate, and to improve prosperity and competitiveness for Oregonians and Oregon's employers. SB 1501 is an obvious choice. Construction will lead to the types of will bring an end to the digging of the holes. And thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it. I'm going to call the next line of people who are testifying. Andrew Horn, Megan Conaway, Lynn Peterson, Monique Clybourne. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Please go ahead and start.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, and members of the committee. My name is Lynn Peterson. I'm the Metro Council President from the Portland Metro region. I represent nearly 1.7 million Oregonians in the Portland region. Metro has a variety of responsibilities, and obviously one of them is operating some of our region's most important shared spaces, including the Oregon Zoo, where Tula 2 just turned 1. I hope you had the opportunity to see the video. It is the most visited place in Oregon, the Oregon Zoo, the Oregon Convention Center, and the Portland Expo Center. We are part and parcel of the ecosystem and know how important it is to have high-quality, well-maintained facilities to support the comfort of visitors and maintain our competitive status as a city to do business in, to visit, to learn from, and to have fun. That's why I'm here today to offer my full support of the proposed Moda Center renovations. Just yesterday, the Metro Council and the Metropolitan Exposition Recreation Commission, otherwise known as MERC, approved moving forward with up to $16 million in sports improvements to the Expo Center because the Portland Metro region has committed to more sports investments as part of our revitalization effort. That will all be internal from Metro, maybe some help from outside, but we are moving forward on a lot of investments in the sports arena and are very committed to making sure that we are doing that as a partner with the Blazers. That's why the city, region, and state have invested so much into attracting the 2030 NCAA Women's Final Four to Portland. This event is important for its direct impacts. The past two Women's Final Four events in Cleveland and Tampa each prompted more than $30 million in direct spending over the course of the event. But it's also important for the lasting impressions. Last week, the San Francisco Bay Area hosted the Super Bowl, and one of the top stories was how surprised visitors were to find that San Francisco was not nearly as bad as the national media had portrayed it to be. Also on NBA game day, more than 1,200 people go to work at the Moda Center. That's 41 nights of work through the course of a year. I urge you to move forward with this important investment in one of our state's most prominent landmarks, a place where people celebrate, conduct business, and/or see Oregon for the first time. Thank you.
Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, members of the Rules Committee, Andrew Hone, Portland Metro Chamber, enthusiastic supporter of Senate Bill 1501. For over 50 years, Oregon's arena has been an economic engine for the state. Think of the magnitude of its annual impact. $670 million in economic activity, 4,430 jobs through activations that draw 1.6 million visitors through its doors, who in turn spend $113 million, all generated thanks to a LEED Platinum certified and 100% powered by renewable energy facility. This impact was due to the investments of the anchor tenant, the Blazers, the franchise that until 2 years ago owned, operated, and maintained the facility with no public support. Despite the Portland region's significant economic challenges, we are still a city worthy of world-class investment. If you want the ultimate market signal, look no further than Tom Dundon's $4.2 billion bet on Portland's future. Thanks to that investment, our state is now firmly in the national spotlight. But being on the national stage also means our community will also be measured against the standards set by other states for public matching funds. We need our public sector partners to invest in a facility that has given so much. State investment today will produce incalculable returns tomorrow, and the value of seeing the state on TV screens around the world is priceless. These are very much divided times. However, I am here to say thank you to every elected official, state and local, for carrying this public-private partnership. I call on this committee to think back to the beginning. In the 1970s, Larry Glickman's decade-long efforts paid off when Portland was awarded its first major sports franchise. This has long been considered the spark that ignited Portland's 50-year rise. Since then, the Blazers have become an invaluable cultural institution in Oregon and a symbol of our unity. Like Glickman, members of this committee have the opportunity today to keep this team here where it belongs. Needless to say, it's a slam dunk. Sorry for the pun.
No, you're not.
Hold on, real quick question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. For Chair Peterson, I listened to Chair Vega Peterson talk about the commitment of local funds. I believe she mentioned a bond specifically related to the convention center.
That's correct.
My recollection is the convention center is under the purview of Metro, not Multnomah County. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So is the commission chair committing dollars that she didn't really have the authority?
It's a joint fund. It's a joint fund. A portion of the TLT comes to the joint fund, and decisions are made by the three entities, the City of Portland, Multnomah County, and Metro. We committed funds out of that towards the convention center remodel. That does come, it is complete in 2030. We had been looking for that money to go to Expo. We have a $250 to $300 million vision for turning Expo into a sports arena. It is the old Multnomah County Fairground. It's also the location of the first step in the incarceration of Japanese Americans. So there's a lot going on at that site. And then we've made a lot of commitments, but we are slowing down those commitments to be able to make room for the Blazers out of that fund. It does not mean that we are not moving forward. We're finding it out of our own general fund and other sources, public-private partnerships.
Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
Megan Conaway. Megan, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr, and members of the committee. Thank you for the flexibility to testify remotely today as I'm about to head to the airport. My name is Megan Conway. I'm President and CEO of Travel Portland, and we generate travel demand that drives economic impact. Thank you for the opportunity to express our strong support for Senate Bill 1501. Moda Center is one of our single most impactful year-round assets for drawing leisure, business, and convention travel to our region. You have the opportunity to ensure this critical driver of economic vitality continues as a gathering place for years to come. When looked at through a tourism lens, there's a lot more to this story than basketball. This is a pivotal moment in regard to Portland's reputation and how our elected leaders signal to Portlanders and Oregonians that our city and Oregon's largest arena are worthy of investment. Beyond the infrastructure upgrades impacting our franchises, a reimagined Moda will increase competitiveness for modern-day concerts that demand newer facilities, sound capabilities, and rigging capabilities. Taking in for a moment the radius of fans and ticket buyers, the Blazers are the only NBA team north of Sacramento, meaning we're the closest market for neighboring states like Idaho, Washington, and those fans in Montana and British Columbia. The nearest WNBA market is Seattle, and you may think that means Washingtonians won't come. But we know WNBA fans travel, and the proximity is prime for building a strong rivalry corridor up and down I-5. Moda Center is one of the single largest multipliers for our tourism economy. In 2024, 26 Blazer games coincided with conventions that booked more than 1,000 rooms on the same night, in some cases increasing occupancy in the city by more than 20 percentage points. The same year saw 28 Moda Center event nights that drove hotel occupancy in the city above 75%. And by comparison, the average occupancy for the year was just above 60%. To have this conversation, we must also evaluate what's at risk without investment. The national reputation of our destination remains fragile and is again at risk if we fail to meet this moment. Since 2018, we've been monitoring national consumer sentiment of Portland as a destination. We know all too well the reputational damage that occurs every time Portland is at the center of yet another negative news cycle. Now is the legislature's turn to make a transformative investment in Oregon's arena, a marquee asset that sits in a prime location in the heart of our city. Our city and state deserve nothing less, and I thank you for supporting Senate Bill 1501, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Really appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead now and call Stephen Wright and Elaine Kiley. Steve, good morning.
Good morning. Chair Jama and fellow our committee members. For the record, my name is Stephen Wright. I'm from Tax Fairness, Oregon, and I oppose Senate Bill 1501. My testimony starts with the premise: professional basketball is a business. And for the NBA teams to survive, it has to make a profit, which it does very successfully for its billionaire owners. Senate Bill 1501 is structured in the same way as the 2015 Portland Diamond Bill, by diverting basketball player withheld taxes from the general fund to the Oregon Arena Fund for Moda Center for construction, renovation, capital improvement, area operations, and debt service. But I want for you to clearly understand what your actions may mean if, in fact, this bill is approved. The bill does not include any new money. This is money that would otherwise go into general fund paying for core services such as education, human services, public safety, the courts, and state debt service, thus redirecting and reducing general funds as the effect of impacting, or has the effect of impacting all Oregonians. The investors, after spending over $4 billion, seem unwilling to invest a few more $100 million renovation dollars. Thus, Oregonians, especially the poor, will be paying for what should otherwise be the owner's financial responsibility. In closing, while approving this bill may be justified by sports fans, Oregonians will be participating in a practice that taking from the poor and giving it to the rich is somehow considered okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elaine, can you hear us?
Yes, this is Eileen Kiley. I'm a resident of Sun River. I'm also in opposition to this deal. Every time I hear billionaires threatening to leave a city if the government doesn't come build them a better stadium, I think about Fenway Park and the Red Sox and Wrigley Field and the Chicago Cubs. They're never leaving. And they're never leaving because the owners understand what the primary asset of that franchise is. It is a rabidly loyal fan base that sticks with them year in and year out. So now when a billionaire asks us to pay for the renovations that they want and take that money out of the general fund, which should be going to schools, then I just realized that's under, what's it going to cost them to go and build?
Elaine, we're losing you.
What is it going to cost them to build a fan base someplace else that's as rabid as loyal, such a good source of revenue as the people of Oregon? It's going to cost them a lot more than $500 million. And the long term is the revenue. That's what they need. And I was going to tell you the dime market. That's how I feel. And I will tell you that we have multiple options. And DAS has multiple options to get this deal done. The foundation has got to sell this so that they can get around to sell the Seahawks. We are not their only option. I assume that as a Democratic government, they assume that's fine. No, we're just option A. We need to tell them to move on to plan. So, for the sake of Oregon, and for the sake of the plaintiffs, I'm asking you to hang tough and call it. Please vote no and negotiate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Committee members, if you can stay a few more minutes, we have a few more people to testify. I'm going to call Brendan Mullen, Michael, Michelle Evans. Neither of them, okay. How about Britt Conaway? Britt Conaway.
Yeah, hi, Chair Jama. Chair Jama, Vice Chair Starr and members of the committee, for the record, my name is Britt Connery and I'm with Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon. EMO readily admits that on some days there may be more praying happening inside the Moda Center than inside even Oregon's largest churches. We also know that Oregon is already failing to meet the needs of so many of our neighbors and that a series of budget cuts are barreling down on us all. With that, we want to offer these suggestions and are neutral in the bill at this point. First, we encourage Oregon and Jody Allen to develop a plan where the Allen Foundation invests all of the more than $4 billion in sales proceeds back into Oregon, from Laurel, Albina to Lakeview and everywhere in between. Second, while an arena fund may be the most politically likely scenario, it feels precarious. We're making an offering to the new owners, asking for mercy and hoping for the best. Instead, we would like our elected officials, prominent wealthy Oregonians, and business leaders to attempt to negotiate a location stake in the team. This would not be an equity stake, but rather a one-time payment inserting Oregonians into the ownership group for the states, and this partnership's only role and responsibility would be as the sole and permanent decision maker regarding where the team is located. If the new owners, as they claim, have no intention of moving the team, then such a deal would be a windfall, money earned for doing something they were going to do anyway. If they refuse to consider the offer, that could be telling. Sometimes you just have to call the question. A location stake payment that flows to the Allen Foundation and into the community could keep the Blazers in town without choosing an arena over those in need. And our final suggestions: ensure arena employees are paid a living wage, urge rotating exhibition or preseason games at all of Oregon's colleges and universities. In the 1990s, the Blazers and Supersonics played annual games at Gill Coliseum at OSU. And finally, look to partner with the state of Washington. Perhaps there's a world where, in a fiscally responsible way and through expansion of both leagues, Washington helps Oregon land a Major League Baseball team, and Oregon helps Washington get their own NBA team, not ours. Again, in a fiscally responsible way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Committee members, that's all we got today. Sorry. Okay, actually we have one more person, Stefan Mortis. Stefan Mortis, can you hear us?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Good morning, Chair Jama and members of the committee. My name is Stefan Moritz, and I'm the Secretary Treasurer of Unite Here Local 8. Local 8 is the hospitality workers union in the Pacific Northwest, representing over 7,000 workers in Oregon and Washington. We represent hotel and food service workers in Portland Stadium District at the Hyatt Hotel and the Oregon Convention Center. To make a long story short, we need better jobs at Moda. As you consider dedicating hundreds of millions of dollars to the future of Moda Center, I urge you to consider whether that investment also leads to better jobs that include healthcare and family supporting wages. We hear from food service workers at Moda that that is unfortunately not currently the case. Here are a few testimonials I wanted to share with you from workers at the arena. One worker said, I have worked at Moda Center for 9 years. I don't have access to healthcare because I'm deemed part-time employee, even though I work 40 to 60 hours during the season. Another worker said, despite working at Moda Center for 4 years, I have no guarantees on receiving work when there are events, and I never know from week to week how many shifts I will get. Another worker said, I've worked at Moda for 13 years, but this job doesn't provide basic benefits like healthcare and bereavement leave. Last year, when my mom was battling and passed away from cancer, I wasn't able to take the time off I needed to be with my family. And finally, a worker telling his story about being homeless while working at Moda. I've been homeless, relying on the good graces of other people, and used what little money I had for hotel rooms. On days where I had no shifts, I had to stay on the streets. As a member of the LGBTQ+ society, it has been very dangerous for me to be on the streets. Thanks to the city of Gresham, I found the means to get into housing. I'm finally off the streets. I wish I had a living wage at work that would have supported me instead of having to go through these struggles. I've always had employment and never been homeless before. We're excited to build the future of the Blazers together, but I urge you to center the needs of our working people's community that makes Moda successful every day as you deliberate on the merits of this legislation. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you so much for your testimony. This concludes our testimony. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing of Senate Bill 1501. We're adjourned.